Hey, hello scrappers. Time for another video. I thought I'd do a video today on tools for the scrappers. I know right now prices are up pretty much globally, and with prices being up, a lot of new people get into scrapping. Of course, as we know, a lot of them will fall out when prices drop. And so you always get people, you know, asking what tools. Well, if you have no tools at all, or very few, I'd say one of the first fairly inexpensive tools would be a good box knife. Now this one here has got a fixed blade. It's from Ace Hardware. And then this one has the retractable, and you can keep, of course, you can keep spare blades in the handle. This one has got the hook, which I use it a lot for when I cut down compressors, just cutting the strings, stuff like that. But you know, of course, some of you guys might disagree with one of the first tools, but you can strip wire with this if you got an appliance. Well, like we got a TV over here. You can get in there and with a little effort, you can, of course now it's not going to work. Even a pocket knife would work, but you know, you can cut the power cord. Of course, then you got to cut your plug off. So, yeah, but you can get in there. Of course, don't cut yourself. I think this blade might be kind of dull, but you get the idea anyway. Of course, it's hard on the blades cutting that copper, but copper is kind of a soft metal. And that's, you know, probably one of the first tools. So I'll lay it here on the workbench. And then moving up from there, I would say like a good pair of side cutters. They make it a lot easier for cutting cords. Now, like I say, there's about as many ways to scrap as there are scrappers out there, so it just depends on what you're going to do. A lot of people just go around on garbage day, trash day, pick up what they can find on the curb, and sometimes you get an old TV like that. Well, you don't want to take the whole thing because then you got a lot of trash to deal with. So you might just cut the cord or vacuum, cut the cord and go. So good side cutters. If you don't have side cutters to start with for cutting cords, I've seen people use scissors. I've seen a lot of people use this style of tin snips. They work well. So we'll set those down there. It's probably going to get crowded up here before I get done. Another thing that kind of follows is some of your bigger wire. You could use these cable cutters. I'll put those on the workbench. Now I got to put all this back when I'm done. And sometimes you can get these big cable cutters too, but they're not really a necessity, especially not for the beginner. You know, down the road you may want to get into something like that. And if you don't have power tools, another good tool would be the hacksaw. And some good hacksaw blades. So then you can cut your copper tubing if you need to. Several things you could cut. Of course, moving up from there, trying to think whether a couple other good things to have would be a good pair of pliers, needle nose if you're tearing stuff down. Like I say, for street scrapping, maybe just some good wire cutters, a box knife, possibly screwdrivers. So I've got this one set. Find out where I put the put its mate. Here it is. I got this set here from Harbor Freight, good Standard and Phillips. Quinn. They've been serving me pretty well. The tip is still good. So, good Standard and Phillips. You know, for the street scrapper, all of this right here would probably be good to take along, because you can pull cotter keys with the needle nose. Some stuff you could probably, you know, disassemble a little bit right there. But along with street scrapping, you know, you kind of want to get out there, get it, and move on to the next one, you know, before somebody else gets in there and starts getting the good stuff. And then you end up empty-handed. As you go down the road, like I do, I tear a lot of stuff down. So, again, a lot of these are pretty essentials. A set of Allen wrenches. Now, you don't have to have a set like this. You can get the ones that are in the little plastic cases, you know, where you got one for standard, one for metric. This is handy just to have on the workbench. It works well. I'm going to move some of this way. Like I said, this workbench is going to fill up pretty quick. The next best thing to screwdrivers would be a cordless drill. And of course, with a cordless drill, you want to get, of course, you'll have your Phillips bit. And then you probably want to get a set of these little sockets that fit in there. And they come in really handy for tearing stuff down. I think Peanut Butter heard me talking out here and knew I was making a video, so he had to come out and get in it. Didn't you, Peanut Butter? Yeah. Hadn't seen too much of him the last few days. It's been so cold. But, yeah, good set of magnetic bits are good, handy to have. And then as you're moving up, move up from a hacksaw, get yourself a Sawzall. Now, it can be corded or cordless, either way. Either way you go. I've got corded and cordless both. I use the cordless more than the corded, but the corded does have more speed and more power. Of course, now I've had this my corded one. As you can tell by the cord here, I've had it a long time. Oh, probably 25 years, 25, 30 years. Another real handy tool that I use a lot in the shop is a corded 4.5 inch angle grinder. I do have a little 4-inch one that I have a grinding disc on. I mainly use the cutting discs on this. I don't know if I want to put that on the workbench because it's getting rather full. Kind of looking around the shop to see what else I may use. Yeah, that's probably another thing that you may use a lot, vice grips. Sometimes your bolts will get rounded off. You can use vice grips. Of course, in scrapping, you don't necessarily have to worry about it rounding off. You can always just cut it off. When all else fails, cut it off because you're not putting it back together. Another thing I use quite a bit is pin punches for knocking them pins out. Now on those bit sets, yeah, I have several different ones here. One set I use a lot is this set right here. Now I bought one set just identical to this at Ace Hardware, and the case got real brittle and started falling apart. I think I have it over here, buried under a bunch of junk. You can see the case got tore up pretty good. Just got brittle just being in the workshop in the heat. So I went down and got me a new one. I got this one at Harbor Freight. Happened to see it there, so I thought, okay, I need a new one of those anyway. They weren't very expensive at all. Oh, some other tools. I've got this small socket set. I'm missing the 14. I have to find it, and missing the little extension. But this one here is metric. I don't remember where. Well, that's a Craftsman. So I've got some decent tools. This one's Husky, which is Home Depot, and this is standard. So I've got a lot of standard sizes. I use it quite a bit. I don't use a whole lot of sockets. Occasionally I do, but I do have some up here on the magnet, as you can see. 1/2 inch, 7/16, 3/8, 9/16. And then I've got a few here on like a 1/2 inch, 7/16 that will fit into the drill. And peanut butter's up here on the workbench now, wanting attention. Occasionally I have trouble getting into some spots, so this little Dewalt right angle tool works pretty good. You can put your bit in here and stick that in your drill and get into some of them tight spots. I had a hole there somewhere for it. Another tool, pipe wrench. They come in pretty handy. But the main power tools I use is a Sawzall, the drill a whole lot, and my angle grinder over here. And I do have another angle grinder in here that I use from time to time. It's easy to take with me. And that's my Ryobi angle grinder. I've got a diamond blade on it. Not sure how much longer that one's going to last, but they're only like $10 and they last quite a while. But one thing with the Ryobi is I couldn't really get that much out of a cutting disc because I'd start running into the bracket here. So I thought, well, I'll put one of these diamond blades on there. That way I don't have to worry about it wearing down and getting smaller. And that's been working out real well for me. So, trying to think what other tools do I use a lot? I use a 2-wheel dolly, which is pretty muddy out here. The snow is still melting. Removing TVs, washers, dryers, stuff like that. I use this 2-wheeler. So that's a very handy tool to have. Even getting a dryer up on your pickup truck, a lot of times you can use the 2-wheeler if your truck doesn't sit too high, and you can get one end of the bottom up on the tailgate, and then you can push it on up from there. And I use wheelbarrows a lot. So I think I've covered most of the hand tools that I use, other than wrenches. And you see I got a lot of my wrenches up here hanging. I need to get up there and mark what size they are, but I pretty well know what's where. And like I say, a few sockets. I have a bunch of other tools in the other room that I use from time to time, but most of the time don't need them. And of course, this is the set I use the most. I got my main ones here: 1/4 inch, 5/16, 3/8, and 7/16. And then these bunch here are non-magnetic, but they go into some smaller sizes, maybe metrics. Oh, these carpet tack pullers, they come in for prying small stuff. I've got a handful of smaller wrenches here. Oh yeah, another very important tool, a magnet. For checking to see if it's ferrous metal. If it sticks, it's ferrous metal, goes into tin or shred. Unless it's heavy metal, and then you can put it in prepared steel, short iron. But to tell if something might be aluminum, stainless, of course now there's magnetic stainless and non-magnetic stainless. And I think I'll go ahead and show that real quick. I've got some non-magnetic stainless out here in my bucket. You can get something like this, and of course here's a piece of aluminum, here's a piece of stainless. Magnet doesn't stick to both. Now brass, you know brass and copper. Copper is kind of orange color to it. You see now, you look at the three of these, magnet doesn't stick to any one of them. So how can you tell what is what? Because here we have brass, stainless steel, and aluminum. You can almost tell by the sound. So what helps on that, magnet not sticking to anything, so I don't know if you see that right here, but it's kind of a yellowish color. So with the yellowish color, we know that is brass. Let's see if I can get over here with the sunlight. I don't know if that helps or not. So we know that that one's brass. How do we tell aluminum? You see it took it off, but no sparks. Stainless, you're gonna have sparks coming off. It still looks silver. Still looks silver just like the aluminum, but we had sparks coming off here, so that tells us it's stainless. The aluminum will not spark. So let me shut the grinder off. Now sometimes like punches and stuff, you can make your own out of from rods, different stuff there. I get these little magnetic strips from Harbor Freight. This is where I worked a lot last winter in the cold. So I had this little workbench. As you can see, it gets cluttered, so that's why I try not to work on a big workbench, because then I just got more clutter to clean up. This piece here is brass. Probably needs a little bit of cleaning. Just got a little crud on it. Here we got some metric wrenches. Of course, I got a set of Allen wrenches that go on a ratchet, and then I got some Torx that go on a ratchet. I don't use them very often. It's just every now and then item. Oh, yep, I think I mentioned punches. Here's another set of miscellaneous bits that will go in your drill. Got Torx, Allens, yeah, some security bits. These come in handy from time to time to put different size sockets on. They'll all fit into your drill bit or drill bit holder on your drill. So I've got an extra set of those. I got some deep sockets when I need them, which isn't a whole lot, but every now and then. So I think I've covered most of the basics and some of the stuff for like I do, because I don't really go out and curbside pick, because I have a full-time job, so I can't get out there in the mornings before the trash runs. I can get out there the night before, but sometimes that works well, sometimes it doesn't. One thing that works occasionally, nut drivers. I have part of a set here. I got a few out in the other room. Still haven't found the 1/4 inch or was it 5/16? I use a lot. Of course, some of the extreme tools would be like an acetylene torch, cutting stuff down. I did buy this big angle grinder, 7-inch, like 7-inch disc, and I went out and cut out a whole bunch of short iron one day, and I did a lot of cutting with that one disc, and the discs run about $1 a piece. But I got a lot cut. Another advanced tool. Which I've been scrapping for off and on for 30 years, and I just bought this here a few months back. It's a portable bandsaw. This is 5-inch deep, 5-inch wide. Kind of debating on getting the Ryobi one, which is battery operated, but it only cuts 2.5 by 2.5. Which if I've got like long pipe or something, if it's real long and I need to cut it down, that might be handy. Of course, you can always take Sawzall and extra blades, angle grinder. And now angle grinder, you got to be careful, it throws sparks. So summertime, you got to watch out for that dry grass. Don't want to start any fires. So sometimes a Sawzall might be a better tool to take. Oh, yeah, that's another tool that's really necessary a lot of times. Channel locks, pry bars. It's kind of a small pry bar, and I've got a couple crowbars over here, and I've got another pry bar that's like 6 foot long. But for most scrap, you don't need anything like that. So, trying to think what else, what other tools? Putty knives maybe, but that's not really used very often. A wire brush maybe comes in handy from time to time. But like I say, for starting out, I would say a box knife, good pair of wire cutters, you know, whether tin snips, whatever, pliers, screwdrivers. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found this useful. And like I say, I probably should have thrown the magnet in there real close to one of the first 5 items, probably. Because the magnet's going to make you money. It's going to let you know if it's tin, stainless. It's going to help you find magnetic screws or not, or brass screws. I was tearing a few of these faucets down, and they had the screw that held the knob on. So, and like this, you know, you can tell. Okay, so that's brass, that's aluminum. But so that's going to help you a lot on knowing your higher dollar metals. Like these are, for the most part, are all brass. And once I clean these off, they'll probably pretty well be clean brass, which is, I think, in some places going for close to $2 a pound now. So stuff like that's going to help. But hey, if you liked the video and you're not a subscriber, I hope I earned your subscription today. And I'd like to invite you to subscribe for other videos like this. I do a lot of tearing different things down. I think I'm going to do another video here soon on how I cut these transformers down. These came out of microwaves. Now a lot of times anymore, these used to be all copper on here, but a lot of them anymore will have one field of copper, one field of aluminum. This is probably aluminum here. Now you can hit it with an angle grinder or file. I guess that was a tool I probably should have mentioned. If you don't have an angle grinder or bench grinder, a file would help. Because say, like this, if you didn't have another way to do it, you could take that across there and cut into it and see what kind of metal might be in there. And like I said, here on this one, you can see that's white right there, so that's going to be aluminum, which I figured that one was. Now getting in here past this plastic might be a chore. Just trying to file on it. That right there's looking white too, looking silver, so that might be aluminum also. So sometimes we've got aluminum on both sides. If you don't really feel you got the time, just put all them in a pile, take them all in at once, and they'll pay you a little better than a little better price than just the metal. Someone was saying something about melting these off. That's what I've been doing, but somebody told me you could take the air chisel with a flat bit and chisel that aluminum right off of there. So I'm going to give it a try. Might do it here in a little bit. But I hope you found this video informative, educational, and that's the main tools I use, and I tear a lot of different stuff down. Like I said, I got the angle grinder over here, but for the most part, that's what I use. As you can see, I got a few different pairs of vice grips up here. I got another pair of needle nose. I got another pair of cutters. These are like miniature bolt cutters. They'll cut pretty thick wire. Knipex, they're like 50 bucks, so that's something you kind of work up to. These come in handy. These are Craftsman, but the way they work is pretty handy. Oh, not sure what I got here to get a hold of, but yeah, they just kind of work up even and clamp down, so they come in handy for different stuff. I kind of keep them over here with the channel locks, and like I said, I normally keep needle nose and pliers there, keep all my cutters here. You know, kind of a little bit of method to my madness. There's some long-handled side cutters. They're not working really good. Probably need to sharpen them. This is kind of a handy tool too, as far as sharpening tools, taking care of them. This has got a carbide bit on it, and you basically just drag it across your edge. And it'll sharpen them right up. This is going to be awkward on this one. As you can see how you can see the shiny part on there now where it's dragging the rust and stuff off. These haven't been cutting too good lately, so they've been needing it. So those come in handy. These are handy to have. I don't use it a whole lot, but occasionally to sharpen your tools. Little miniature cutters, stubby screwdrivers. They come in handy occasionally. So I hope you like the video. If you do, hit that like button. Share the video with your friends. If you're not a subscriber, I would really appreciate it if you did subscribe. And hopefully you'll watch more videos. And if you're new to scrapping, hopefully I can teach you some tips and tricks. So I'm going to call it quits for this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Like I say, it's been cold, and we've had kind of a record-breaking storm winter this last few weeks. So spring is on the way. When spring gets here, it means people will be doing some spring cleaning. There'll be a lot of scrap metal out there for us. So hopefully everybody can get a good supply coming in through the spring, summer, and fall, and make some good money. Hopefully prices stay up and keep going up. But you know, this in this field here, scrapping prices can go, who knows, up, down, up one day, down the next. So, you know, and another trick on scrapping is don't necessarily go to the scrapyard closest to you. Find out what's with it, you know, what all scrapyards are within, say, a 30-mile radius, and get their phone numbers and call them for prices before you take your load in. You might be surprised the difference amount of money you can make. The closest yard to me is 15 miles away. They pay decently, but not really that good. I can usually make a lot better at the yard that's about 30 miles away. And I take big loads in usually, so I can usually make out better on the extra 15-mile drive, which is actually 30 round trip. But yeah, I brought a bunch of stuff in here before the bad weather hit, so I don't have to drag it through the mud to tear stuff down. So I'm going to get off there on this video and start putting stuff away and maybe break some stuff down. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Happy scrapping. I was putting all the tools away, and I got thinking, really one of the main tools a scrapper needs is a hammer, even if it's just a claw hammer, which I like the straight claw because it gives you something you can actually pound and pry things apart with. It seems like a straight claw works a lot better for prying because you can get down in there and twist or whatever you need to do. So it seems to me they work a lot better. Whether it's 16 ounce like this, small 16, over here, low peanut butter. I've got one a little bit bigger. It's a 20 ounce. Somebody's being a pest. I got a nice straight peen hammer. And then I got a ball peen hammer, pretty heavy. So a hammer is always a good tool to have in scrapping too, because sometimes you can break plastic off. You can, maybe you got some cast aluminum that might have a broken bolt or something in it. You can sometimes break off that piece where the bolt is at and then have good clean cast. So a good hammer is another good thing to have, especially for the starting scrapper. I've seen guys tear a lot of stuff down with basically just a hammer. And then of course, sometimes as you move up, get a good long-handled sledgehammer. So just thought I'd throw that in. I know this video is long, so we'll see you guys later. Happy scrapping.